Good morning. I'm James Bogue. I'm going to go through and present to you today the new user interface and features around the support module. This is particularly relevant to the people who are already using it, but obviously may give people who are not using it a good overview of what the system can do. This is being recorded and will be available as a video on the various channels in the near future, the next few days. If you've got any questions, please just put them in and I will refer them as often as I can do. Do a bit of multitasking. And I'll try and answer the best as I can. Okay, so the first thing I thought I'd do is just list out the items that are worthy of note in the new user interface, obviously the features around that. Okay, so I'm going to briefly touch on the dashboard, although how to configure the dashboard is covered in other videos in detail. Looking at the Kanban view that is now has already been introduced into the support module, but I'm going to recover it again. How you use emails within the new support module UI and the new layout of it, and how the emails and notes actually work together. Okay. And also lots of little things like how you add files into documents, meeting logs, how you can actually log a meeting into the support case automatically and things like that. Okay, so I'm going to cover all of these points, and there's quite a lot new on this, and it's been really well designed. So let's get into it. Okay, so I'm now in webCRM system. I'm in a dashboard. It's a dashboard that's been particularly set up for support. Okay, you can have a sales one and a marketing, whatever you want, but this is one particularly for support. And this is really just to cover that you can create your own panels, your own reports, your own KPIs and performance indicators within here. So, for example, I'm looking here at all the support calls, just the number of them over a period of time in a nice little graph. How many have I closed this week? Well, I'm 7,740% over target. That's because I closed a whole pile off yesterday. And then how many are coming, what cases are coming up for deadline today. But you can create virtually, any sort of report in here, and you can also view some key KPIs within here as well. So really it's up to your imagination to a certain extent what you want to put in here, whether you're just a user or whether you're a manager of the support area. So if I now click on support, you may well be already used to this view. The views are very much the same. You can filter them. I'm not going to cover that today because filtering is covered in its own specific video. But nonetheless, all the filtering applies to the views. And this is just a normal list view. However, one of the things that has been released for a little while, but if you go into the new UI, you really want to use this, is the Kanban view. Okay, so if we go to the Kanban view, you'll suddenly see that now they're just in columns. Okay, and this columns allows you to see by basically what action level they're at. I'll go into that in a minute in the configuration. But basically how many are in there. I'm also within this view seeing everybody. So obviously I can filter it to just see my own or particular people, depending on my security access into the system, what I can see, whether I can just see my own or I can see everybody else's. Again, that's a security setup. I'm not going to cover that today. All right. But yeah, sure. So you can basically move these along as you wish. Okay. So each card is a support case, ticket, whatever your terminology you want to use on it. And if I hover over it, I can actually start seeing details about that particular ticket, the email that came in, status, etc., etc. All right. And the red date and time in there is basically when it came in to when it actually should have been dealt with. So I've got lots of reds in here. I obviously need a warning or something, but it really was just to demonstrate the point to you. Okay, these columns are set up from the drop-down list. So I'm now going to go to configuration. I'm not going to do a lot in configuration other than show you how where it's actually working from. So if I go to configurations and drop down lists, I can actually see the action levels I've got are these. You can have anything you like, as well. I wouldn't say as many as you like because I'm not sure. I'm sure it gets a bit confusing, but clearly you can just separate them into different areas. Okay, right. Okay, and again, as I change them into different areas, they will change their action automatically. Okay. So obviously you've got the filters up here again. Newest, all that come in this month. Again, these are all kind of additional filters on top of the filtering here. Okay, so you can just narrow things down if you've got a lot of support tickets. I'm going to come back to the screen, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into a support case and show you the new layout. Okay, so if I hit the edit button, you will see that this is very, very, very different to the old one if you're used to the old version. Again, sorry, I should have said this right up front. You can try the new layout, but if you try the new layout, that means everybody gets transferred to the new layout. Okay, so basically, you need to test this out before you let it loose on everybody and configure it, etc., etc. There is a facility to allow customers who've got a lot of users who want to test it out first to have a sandbox or a clone system, but you need to contact your a corresponding admin, your support person in your different countries if you come in from different countries. Okay, right. So this is the new layout. It's based on the layout, the configuration. It's based on the same as the organization, contacts, opportunities, where it's a modular system. You can create modules. The difference with the support module is this middle panel here you can't change at all. And it's really been designed to make sure that you can put notes and emails become kind of merged together to a certain extent. So each login here is either a note in yellow, okay, or an email that's gone out, and you'll actually see here it's got headphones on it. That means it's an email going out, or this is the email coming in from the customer in the first place. And if I want to look at the whole email, I can just open that up and it'll show me the whole email. Okay, right. We'll go into the replies in a moment. And again, if I want to see the whole email here, there you go. Okay, that's the whole email that went out. Okay. You'll also see here there's a meeting, exploratory phone call meeting. That's the meeting. And I actually can create those by just going into the meeting modules. And then as soon as I send the meeting off to somebody, I'm not going to do it here because I want to keep this as concise as possible. But once I create a meeting and send the invite off to somebody, then it will automatically log that meeting in here. Okay. Again, just to repeat, here's the yellow note here. I'm keeping my eye on questions. I can't see any questions yet. That's super. Notes in here. And basically, I can add a new note into here called customer and have a chat. I'm sorry, I'm not very good at making things up. There you go. And it's in yellow. Okay. What I can also do is, if I go to reply, this actually will allow me to send an email just from here. Now, this is a little bit involved, and I'm going to explain this. So basically, you can have, depending on who you're talking to, you can have different, you can actually choose any email you like from the system, okay, and use it as a template, but you can default it depending on who you're talking to. And from this panel here, I can talk back to the customer. I can talk to another user on webCRM, or indeed I can actually send an email to an external. So for example, I'm passing on a problem to a third party as an escalation or something. Okay, we'll have a little look at that, how that's set up in a moment. Okay, so if I just say, what was the issue under custom fields? You need to go to config and then look at custom fields. Sorry, can't type. Okay, and then if I want to send that, I can do, but also here, if I hover on here, I can then decide where I want to send it from. I can send it from the standard support email here that we've got set up, so we've got a generic email, or I can then say I want to send it from my own, okay, my own email. So it's now sending it from that, okay. So if I send that there you go. That's going to go with a bit of luck. There you go. It's gone out. All right. And again, if I open that full email, there you go. All right. Okay. You need to no. Okay, I've not set that up very well. My bad, but you get the idea. Okay. Now there's something we're going to talk about how to set that up in just a minute. I just want to continue on the sending email out mode at the minute. What I can also do is I can, if I hit button here, I can actually send this into either internal users or external users. Okay, so I can then basically, sorry, if I just kill that, I can then decide who I want to send this to. So I'm not going to send it to here. I'm going to send it to somebody else. And there's a list of users come up here, so I can send it here, etc., and then put in can you call customer? Okay, and there you go, send. That's got out. And again, I can do the same for a third party if I want to. All right. Now, with this, we can actually, if we do it right, you can actually also show the template. There you go. Show the template there as well. Okay, so you can actually show the template when you're actually doing it. I won't do that now, but it's very easy to play with that. So I've got that down as a plain support ticket. Okay, you can actually configure which ones you use depending on who you're talking to, which I will do now. If I go to support, just checking there's no questions, that's great. If I go to just the support entity level and I click on email here, okay, what I can do when it loads up, email receiver. So the contact person, i.e. the customer in this case, will get a plain support text ticket. The user will get, if I go on to that one, a bit of luck, it updates user plain. So you can have different templates depending on who you're talking to. Okay, so just really to get that over to you, and I've got a final one. If it's an external user, they've got an external plain text support ticket. That's great. Okay, right. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk about, if I just go back now to the support case. So I just take some now, I'll go back in this way. Easier. Okay, so I'll go back into this one. You'll notice that it's not actually putting the whole email template here. It's only putting in what I've actually written. You need to go to configure and discuss fields. It's not put all the rest of the email in. Okay, so with email templates now, there's a new option, a new merge field that allows you to put an insert a merge field that then will only take that text field and put it into the notes. So in good Blue Peter fashion, sorry if you're not English and you don't know what that means, but I've got this already prepared. What I've actually got here is this plain text support ticket. And what you'll see is if I go to merge fields, and if I go to miscellaneous, I think it's in there, email content. So that merge field will basically automatically then just put that text content into the notes and not everything else. If you haven't got that, then what happen, it will try and put, well, it will put the whole email in. Obviously, then the log starts getting longer and bigger, and there's more used up space that doesn't need to be. All right. So that's a very good thing to know when you're actually creating your emails to go with support. I'm just looking at questions. No questions. That's great. Okay. So that's fine. Again, of course, you can attach documents into the log or into an email. If you want to, if I'm just typing reply here, you are. Okay. I can go into full mode on that one. And then if I want to edit it, do the email in a full screen, I can click that. And there's various options for formatting the text and what have you. Okay, all right. So there you go. We'll send that again. Keep it going. There you go. Right. So you can actually see now there's a bit of a log being times, date, a meeting, blah blah blah. Okay. You can also drag files into here, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So that's just covered the email and the notes side of it and sending emails out to different parties. What I also would like to cover, so I'll just go back to support, is there's another new feature. So if I go to, I think it's this one here that's come in. Okay, so a customer sent an email with an attachment, whether that's a screenshot or a document, what have you. Okay, and you can see that in here as part of the email. What you can also do by hitting that plus document, you can actually save that straight into documents. And there you go. That's now appeared in the documents, and I can drag other documents in here as well. Okay. One of the other things to note, which I forgot about documents, if you click on add a document, you can attach it from either one you can drag in, or you can go to the webCRM library of documents that's in the utility section. There you go, and security doc attached. And again, I'll send that, and off it goes. All right. Okay. Right. Okay. So again, you're just starting to see what it's tried to do is make it as easy as possible to roll with this with the support case, and you're not having to click out into an email, then come back again, or a meeting and come back again, or a document and back again. It's trying to do as many things from this one screen and log in each action as we take it. Okay. Just looking. No more questions. That's good. Okay. So if we remind ourselves what I said, also we're going to look at how the new layout is set up. I've spent a lot of time, or some time, on this middle section of the notes because that really is the new thing and the really better way of working with support calls. But let's just see how we set the rest of the screen up. So just remember, you can't change this middle section; that is fixed. Okay. But if I want to edit the setup, what I can do is I can control to a certain extent what's on the sides of it and what's there. So I can add. So if I just take it from the top, we've got organization, and that will display. And I'll go back to the screen in a minute. It'll display just the organization name and basic details. And again, you can't really edit much on that other than add social links into it, to be fair. So some of these you can't do a lot with, but you can certainly change the position. So I can drag that, and that's there instead. Yeah. Okay. And the same with contact. I can't do much with that. It's there. You might decide not to have it, but these are probably things you do need to have. Okay, let's add that in here. We've then got the support case details, and that's basically just giving you the key details of the support case, and I'll come back to the main screen and explain that in a minute. You can, of course, then create your own module. So let me just add that in again. So if I look at, I can then add in fields and add new sections here. There is videos about how these panels work generically, but basically you can add that panel in. And on this one, I've called custom fields, but I could call it key information. And here I've got what's the issue type, what's its priority, and then I could add a new field in here if I wished. Okay, right. Termination reason. There you go. Add that in. Right, and that's now in key information. Right, and again I can change this how I want to. Okay, support cases is an interesting one that allows you to display by the customer that's associated with the support case what support cases, either that all of them, or that have been closed or ongoing, or what have you, and display the order. So that's basically, if you're on a support call, you can basically see what else is actually going on at the moment with that customer and other support cases, or indeed what's gone on in the past, or all of them if you wish. All right. Okay. So this one is ongoing cases. I think what I'll do now is I'll go back to the actual layout, and let's just have a look from there. Okay. Okay. So we can actually see here, if we go to the top, there's a contact. I changed the contact to the top. Again, I can go and edit the contact in the contact information there. I can send them an email, a text message, or indeed the meeting we spoke about. Their email's there. Okay. We've also got what company it is. Okay. And again, basic details, and then things like obviously where in the old interface you could push a support call on by a number of days and what have you. You can do that as well. Oh, let's just put the shoe type in here. Okay, there you go. Sorry. You tried to save it, and that was on 5 days. There you go. And then you've got the deadline, the case owner. These are fixed things. Who's responsible for the case? A new support call, and what action it is. Sorry, which we're talking about these columns within the Kanban, which is also the action status of the support call. And then channels. If you don't know anything about channels, it doesn't matter too much other than you can create different channels which can be looked after by different people and have different email addresses which are used to respond and that customers can communicate. It could be, for example, technical support and admin could have different channels and they could be dealt with by different people, and security and everything else managed around that. I also have that support cases, which I'm just showing all the support cases in order, what's going on here with that particular company or it's gone. Okay, and then if I hover over them, I can actually see what's going on. Okay, there you go. So, and then I've got my custom fields. So, for example, I've got priority, and I've got that. I've got numbers who's affected, blah blah. Whatever I've got in my custom fields that I want to go in there. So, if I then go to the other side, ongoing cases. Again, this is a fixed one. You can't really, you can't really change. Well, you can't change what's on it. But what this is basically telling me overall what is happening with the system, with support. So I've got 2 which I belong, we've got 5 in total, and I've got 16 which haven't been allocated to anybody or unattached. They've come in and we can't, and the system doesn't recognise the email address and can't allocate it to a particular company. Okay. I've then got the general side of it. So where did it come from? And then when I come to close it, what was the reason we closed it? Okay, all for analysis per point of view. We've also got the time recording. The time recording is you can actually start this when you open a ticket. Okay, and there's also in the configuration you can decide in the time how you want to round it up. Do you want to round it up to 5 minutes or 15 minutes or what have you? And that's basically looking at the time. It's got to be going for a minute before you can log anything. But what you can also do, you can log time in here as well. So, for example, I actually spent, I don't know, whatever time it was earlier today doing something, 10 minutes, and create. And that will actually create other, and there you can see that's created that in here, 10 minutes, okay? And that's active, right? Again, you don't have to have this in the screen. You can take it off using the setup, okay? We've got documents, which is relatively straightforward, and then you've got the log. You've got the log of this particular case where you may want to say may have an issue here. I don't know. And also what you could do is you can tag other people in it who uses the system. So, for example, I might want to type Mark in there, and he will get a notification in the system up here on the bell that he needs to look at that to the log. Okay. You'll also see on the log, which has been changed quite a lot, what's going on in the history. So you can actually then log through here and see what's gone on with the organisation overall, any notes that have been put in anywhere in the system. So basically, when you're dealing with a support call, you can actually have a look at what's happened recently across the organisation for anybody who's put notes in the log, right across the board, really. Okay. Anything else that we want to look at? No, that. The only other thing that I think I've missed is on these support cases, you could have multiple support cases in here. So you could have ones for ongoing. You can have another case, another panel, which is just historic ones. So you can have these in multiple times as well. All right. Okay. As normal with these things, you can also favorite this one, so it's on your favorites, and you can subscribe to it. So if anybody changes anything on it, you will be notified again through the notifications icon there. Okay. The other thing is that there is documentation and the guides in the new intercom sections. Really good. Have a look at those. They're actually, if you're not a video person, you can actually read through them as well. Okay. Let's just stop the time there. Here are 2 minutes. Okay. So that's telling me I've spent 25 minutes on this case. Okay. I think there's only other one thing that I want to cover. Still no questions? Okay, that's fine. These obviously can be manually created, or indeed these can be automatically created from emails coming into the system. I'm not going to cover how we configure that in this session. There are documents and videos about how to configure the support module and how to manage incoming support calls. But one of the things I'd like to note is that if you get somebody, if you send an email out to somebody and then they respond, when they respond, it will turn this panel into yellow if you have configured in the configuration, which I'm about to do. So if I go to integration, and I go to support, I will briefly discuss this part of the system because this is how you set up support generally. There's a lot of things to do to stop support cases being made from people spamming you or things that you want to ignore. Highlight, list item, highlight. That basically, when you get a customer sends an email back against an existing support case, it will turn that yellow, so you can actually see from the high end that somebody's actually responded to it. You've got the different channels which we've talked about, and depending on the channel, that's how it's configured at the end there. Okay, so there's all sorts of configurations you can do by channel, which I'm not going to go through now, but it gives you an idea of where to configure it and have a look. Okay. I believe I have covered all of the key points. So all the things that are new with this new support UI. Again, to remind you, you can, when you choose to turn it on, you turn it on for everybody. So caution being the better part of valor, best to test this out first, especially if you've got a lot of users using it, because they'll suddenly get a shock when they open the system. Whilst it will be better for them, it's always better to manage these things and make sure people are aware before what the new things are before they start using it. And it also may give you the opportunity to update some of your processes and ways of working as well. Okay. Connection to other modules. Okay. Let me just have a look at that. Our support guys typically also create quotes. Is it possible to send a quote from inside the module or some sort of connection to other modules? I don't know. This is where if you want to log a quote, i.e. an opportunity, then I'm afraid that's where you'd have to go out and create an opportunity separately to this. But obviously within the organization, you can go straight to the organization here and you can then go and create an opportunity. But I don't think they're connected that way, I'm afraid. Of course, what you could do is you could have some templates in the system with a quotation template, but it depends what you're quoting. Do you want to log an opportunity and things like that? But to answer your question specifically, no, there isn't a direct connection here from the new support module to opportunities or quotes, but obviously it does depend. You may just want to send a template out, of which then the email will be there with the quotation in. But if you want to log an opportunity, you have to do that separately. I maybe not the answer you wanted, but it's the answer that's right. Okay. I'm just going to give it a few more seconds. Have anybody else got any more questions before I wrap this up? As I say, if you've got any questions, please go to your normal support channels. And if you want to get a clonal sandbox, again, go to your support channels. There's a mechanism available there, which I believe is chargeable for you to actually get your own sandbox where you can actually test these things out against your own configuration and data if you wish. Best for customers with lots of users probably, but definitely best practice in those situations. I'll just give it a few more seconds, wait for any more questions before I wrap up. Thank you very much. This recording will be available on different channels just shortly, and you can then pass that on for other people to have a look at. So, any more? Any more? Okay. So, thank you very much. I hope that's been useful, and look forward to the next update whenever that comes. Thank you very much.